Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the Managing Director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing what happens if you test positive for COVID once coming into Thailand. Now, let's be clear here. There are not a lot of definitive answers to give on this topic because it's going to be very circumstantially dependent, highly fact dependent. But I thought of making this video after reading a recent article in the Bangkok Post, bangkokpost.com. Article is titled Covering the New Reentry Rules, and under the subheading, What Happens to a Traveler Who Tests Positive for COVID-19 in Thailand, quote, depending on the condition of the traveler, he or she may be medically advised to receive treatment in either a hospital, hotel isolation, or community isolation. After recovering from COVID-19, the traveler will receive a medical certificate of recovery. Quoting further, according to Thailand's Communicable Diseases Act of 2015, the medical expenses must be covered by the required insurance or at the foreign traveler's own expense, along with national health care coverage for Thais and eligible foreign expatriates. The government recommends travelers read the fine print of any COVID-19 insurance policy before purchase. The policy should cover the cost of treatment and other medical expenses associated with being infected with COVID-19, including inpatient hospitalization, hospital isolation, hotel isolation, or related quarantine. And I want to go back and be clear on this. Quoting, depending on the condition of the traveler, he or she may be medically advised to receive treatment in either a hospital, hotel isolation, or community isolation. Those are essentially the three categories of what's going to happen: hospitalization, hotel isolation, or community isolation. These are your choices. Community isolation, it's basically, I believe that only pertains to Thai nationals. They had, if you go back to the beginning of all of this, there was ASQ, alternative state quarantine, and then there was just state quarantine, SQ. And that pertained to Thai nationals. So I think for most foreign nationals, community isolation is not what we're going to be seeing. What you're going to see is hospital or hotel isolation. Those are basically the two practical choices with respect to isolation. But isolation it's going to be, and it's our understanding, or at least from experience we've dealt with clients, or mostly clients who retained us after they went into isolation, you're looking at least 10 days and maybe more, depending on the circumstances of your case, depending on, your health situation, etc. So be advised, don't be advised, but be aware that yes, it is possible to go into isolation if you test positive for COVID in Thailand. Now, understand we've done recent videos on this topic. There's switching from the RT-PCR test over to the ATK test. I don't necessarily know what that means from a practical standpoint for medical purposes, whether or not there's any significant difference between those type of tests. Not really the bailiwick of this video anyway. The purpose of this video is just to understand what likely will occur if one tests positive and is put into isolation after arrival here in the Kingdom of Thailand.